Hey guys, this is the FOF with the FOF Guide. Once again, we're in episode number 2. That's right, episode number 2. Okay, so basically, in this episode, I talked with a gentleman by the name of Nick Ingles, who has a PhD and who teaches at KPU, that's better known as Kwantlen Polytechnic University. Okay, so basically, he talks about failing courses and what it was like to fail courses, and he kind of looks at the past and kind of goes, yeah, this is what happened, and this is what I think happened, and this is what happened, and this is how I feel about it. So I think it'd be very valuable for you. So thank you very much for joining in and enjoy the show. Hello, Nick. Thank you very much for inviting me into your home. I appreciate that. So, what's your educational background? I'm just curious.
Starting where?
Starting from the beginning, high school all the way up to just maybe a synopsis, a quick kind of intro to what you've done in the past.
High school diploma, associate science degree, Kwantlen, back then University College, honors Bachelor of Science in cell and molecular biology with a minor in history and a PhD in molecular biology and biochemistry.
Excellent. So, what schools did you go to?
I was all over the place. So after high school, I went to UBC, and then Kwantlen, and then SFU. Some of my research work I did at Harvard, and then since then I've been all over the place as well for my teaching.
Nice, awesome, great. Well, okay, so you've got a PhD, you've got a bachelor's, you got a very high education. Teach at Kwantlen and all that kind of stuff. Now, here's the thing. You told me one day that you failed a course.
Oh no, I didn't just fail a course. I got kicked out of UBC.
Really?
I failed many courses.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. So, what exactly happened? I'm just curious because, one day somebody's going to be in the same boat, you know what I mean? And, and they could still turn out like you, which is very successful and has a PhD and is teaching. So, what exactly happened?
There's a combination of factors, and certainly the perspective I have on my failures has changed since I was a student, and now that I'm a professor. Back then, before I became a professor, I probably would have said I had some health issues that made it difficult for me to travel from North Surrey, basically, even actually more South Surrey, I guess is where I was living, to UBC. So that travel was really tough, but they didn't have a great bus system back then, so maybe 3 or 4 hours on the bus every day. If you can't study on it, that's 4 hours of lost time, really. And then because I was ill, being stuck on the bus was a very stressful experience for me. And then there's more fun stuff like finding girls and playing at the arcade. UBC has this amazing arcade in the Student Union building, right? Yeah. So so I can come up with excuses, and then the reality is I just didn't go to the classes and do the work. I remember going through a whole course, I took geology, earth science, and I found it difficult to find where the final exam room was. And so after 5 minutes I gave up and I didn't write the final exam for the class. And that's how I failed that one. Other ones, I'd be just hanging out with girls and going to the arcade and going to all the restaurants that were on campus. I'd been a Surrey guy my entire life.
So you had this student life without being the student.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
I'd say that's pretty fair.
Okay.
But I would say though, my attitude about it now that I teach people, and I see, I would say, ever since I started teaching, maybe 10-20% of my classes, students do exactly what I was doing in university, and they get 10-20% of my class.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of intelligence at all. It's just a matter of, first of all, just showing up to the class. That probably should get you to 30 or 40 anyways. Yeah. And then can you go and get at least a modicum of the homework done once you've actually done the work in the class. And so that was, so I guess what I would have said 10 years ago is I failed because life caught up with me. Mm-hmm. And then now I probably say, well, I was probably a little lazy.
Yeah. Okay, so your perspective has changed on how you felt about it. And that's very interesting because I failed the course once, and my perspective changed about it. First I thought it was the teacher's fault, then I realized that there's a certain way I should have studied. So what would you say to a student who just failed and who was like you? What would you say to them if you had the chance?
Well, I do get the chance all the time.
Which is excellent.
Because these students come in, they do more than I did back in the day, but they're getting 40 or 50 or maybe even a 59, because in Kwantlen, if you don't get the C, if you don't get the prerequisites in science to go on to the next class. So a C minus is functionally a fail. No, I mean, the first thing I tell them is, are you passionate about this? If they're not passionate about it, how on earth can you convince yourself to spend 4 hours every couple days or nights even writing notes on a topic? Right? If it's not there for you, you're never going to motivate yourself to do it.
So you got kicked out? How
I
many
did.
classes did you fail?
Well, let's just look at the laundry list. I'll tell you the class I passed. That might be shorter. So I was put on academic probation at the end of my first term. I'm a very good writer. And so English I passed both times. I got actually A's in English at UBC. So without doing anything, I still got my A's in English. You've known what I was like back then. English is kind of my thing.
Yeah.
Math, my dad's a PhD in math and also a prof at Kwantlen. So I was always good naturally at math. So I was able to survive calculus at UBC. Not so well. I mean, I got a B plus in calculus 1 and I got a C in calculus 2, but I survived. So no, my failures were in the things that I ended up getting my degrees in, like cell biology, first year biology at UBC.
But did you like it back then as much as you do
No,
now?
I didn't. No, I wasn't interested. I wanted to play the video games.
Yeah.
So no, biology, I had a 35. Chemistry, which I always hated, I got about a 30. Physics, I don't even remember. I might have been in the 20s. Geology, like I said, I didn't bother to write the final.
Wow.
And then a lot of those courses I took in the second term and failed again. So I failed chemistry twice. I failed physics twice. That's probably it. But yeah, I mean, by that point, they didn't really have any interest in having me there.
So it's okay to fail as long as you figure out what you did wrong. Would you say that's correct, or?
I think there's two parts of it. If there's no interest, it's never going to work.
Yeah.
Like one of the things I have to tell my students, and I teach biology, so there's a lot of people that want to go into medicine, nursing, in a lot of ways I think it's like their parents, because how do you know if you want to be a doctor or a nurse at age 17 or 18? Sometimes I think like it's their parents talking to them like that, and then they go to these classes and they realize they don't like any of this material. Well, if you don't like any of that material, how are you going to be a doctor or a nurse? Like all I'm talking about is human biology in these courses. And sometimes there's like, what's that expression, trying to put a square peg into a round hole?
Yeah.
So I think the first thing students need to figure out is, do they want to do this? If they don't want to do it, it's going to be like this for 4 straight, 5 straight, 6 straight, 10 straight years, right?
Interesting. Yeah.
You're never going to get it to work. For me, what I needed was a couple of years just to play.
Yeah.
I had worked so hard being like the best student in high school.
So perhaps you should have went to backpacking in Europe or something like that, or Japan or something,
or just getting what turned things around for me is I started working at a gas station.
So what you want to do? Sorry, I lost my train of thought. But what are you supposed to do to motivate yourself? I mean, how do you know when you should take a vacation or not? I mean, do you follow your heart? Do you just want to do what you want to do, kind of deal, or what?
Yeah, I used to do a lot of running, and one of the things I learned for running is that if your body's not ready to do it, you just probably shouldn't go for a run that day. Mm-hmm. And you'll know because like a lot of us, I don't have it on me right now, but I have a watch which measures how fast I'm going. And so some days I'm like, okay, I'm really feeling this, I'm going to do this. And other days, like probably today because I went to a party last night. That speed, even though I'm feeling 100 times worse than I would on a normal run, is like, I'm going terribly. Why did I even bother going out for the run? I think students need to make that assessment before they start paying for tuition. Are they ready to go today?
Okay.
Or this year?
I got a question. If you saw yourself when you're 18 years old, what exactly would you say? Would you just let you do all those mistakes, or what? Not necessarily mistakes, but would you let yourself do that just to build your self character up, or what?
I think I benefited from it.
And how'd you benefit from it?
Because I got a sense of, I think there was a humility piece to that I needed. I don't know if everybody needs that. Also, just an understanding. Like, I think a lot of people going into university are coming from high school, and they may be one of the best students in their high school. And then you go to university, and there's no way you're the best student in your university class, or at least the average person in university. Mm-hmm. I know the grades for first year biology, that, we hover around 65% for the whole, right? So that means a lot of students are going from A's in high school to C's in university.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that happens. Yeah, absolutely.
Like as a general class. And so that is a really hard thing to take. A C in a university class is not a failure. That's a pass. And that's actually something, if you...
I got those before. That was my first semester.
And Jamie, if I got those in my first semester, I would have been really happy. Right? So, yeah, I mean, like, you can kind of survive and stuff like that. And and you need to know that those marks aren't the end of the world. They are if they sort of continue on for years and years and years and years. Mm-hmm. But then you probably, according to what I said earlier, probably shouldn't have been doing them in the first place. You just got to know when you're feeling ready.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's a long way of getting to the answer to your question. Part of me, and maybe even if I was talking to someone like me now, I would say maybe you're not ready to go to school.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the flip side of it, personally, I think that was an important part of my life, having failed and gone through that. For the humility and forcing myself to get into work habits and, not wanting to have to deal with that embarrassment again.
Okay, Nicholas, well, I think you gave me lots of insight, and I really appreciate you inviting me to your home and all that stuff, and really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
No problem.
All right, so hey guys, this is the FOV again. So I just want to say thank you very much, Nick Ingalls, for doing the interview. And if you fail a course, guys, there's light at the end of the tunnel. You could potentially be beginning something that's very important, and you must stick with it. So just if you fail a course, guys, don't sweat it. You can become successful afterwards. Okay? All right. Thank you very much. Bye.